In PA6, I was able to complete all tasks required, except that I didn't create a 3x3 grid. I'm using the entire alien grid, the 5 by 11 by 5 grid. Alright, let's start. Let's start by talking about the collision manager. I want to talk about, this is just a singleton, obviously, like every other manager there is in the game. This manager obviously just takes care of collision pairs. In this case, we have, in the initialize, I have created one pair, which is the missile tree, along with the alien grid, or the alien tree, as I call it. I attached them a new missile destroyer observer. This observer is the one in charge of destroying, I'm quoting, because it doesn't really destroy the missile. I'll get to that in a moment. And I added to the active pair. Now, collision pair, the diagram. This looks very similar to your class that we saw, well, that we saw in class this week. The collision pair, it just has two trees, which are a game component, a tree, a branch, a leaf, or, well, in this case, a game object. It has an observable or subject, and that subject has a list of observers. And you can call it, you can notify listeners, and this one will just notify its listeners to everyone. There is no game observer link or call link. I joined them along with game observer, a little easier in that sense. There we go. Here's the call pair class, and as I said, the observable, your two trees, and it has a static collide function along with the static are intersecting. This is the one that actually does the whole collision check. Alright, now let me show real quick, because I want to explain the whole destroy thing. Well, as you can see, I can only fire one missile at once, and it successfully destroys aliens. Alright, let me get back. Wow, I didn't think that was possible. I'm gonna have to reduce the speed on these guys. Anyway, so, where were we? Oh, okay. Let me go to the missile destroyer observer, where I destroy the missile. I don't really destroy the missile. I just want to talk about real quick on how I do that. I get the missile from the branch, or the tree in this case, and I tell the tree to remove the child, in this case, remove the missile. Let me go to the definition so you see. In remove, obviously, if the active child head is not null, in this case, the missile has been fired, it means we're telling it if the missile has been fired, is it active? Yes, it is active. Alright, no longer. It's no longer active. Why? Because, we finally get the component that has been sent to us, and we have the T missile and destroy it, and then add it to reserve. Now, the missile itself is not destroyed. You could say I'm nullifying it. I'm turning it into a null object, basically. I don't know why I said nullify. It's basically just a null object. It's not a null object per se. It still retains a lot of the information it does have. But in this case, the animator gets the null animator sprite, which is just basically an empty animator. It will animate nothing. Its base type or its name, it's basically now null. So whenever someone calls out, many of my functions and classes within the game know that if they get something that's null, they're supposed to ignore it. So even if this guy was in between every alien, it doesn't matter. They will ignore it until it's fired again. And tell your sprite to swap the image. That's basically it. Now, I did a small abstract class, it's weapon. I'm going to get to the missile itself. Here's missile. Now, the rearm is called whenever the player taps the spacebar and the missile is in the reserve list from the missile tree. Whenever the missile tree is the missile is in reserve and the player taps the spacebar, it fires the missile. It takes it from reserve to active, and it calls out this function, the rearm, which will also be available to the bombs themselves for the aliens. So here we have the rearm, you have animator, get your correspondent animator, which in this case it already knows that it's a missile. Your base type returns your back to being a weapon. You're no longer null. You are now a weapon again. So now you matter to the game. If you crash onto something, you will no longer be ignored. You will actually, it'll crash. You get the point. And obviously, again, sprite, swap the image. This whole process goes for the very same thing for the aliens. Let me show you here an alien. Ah, here it is. In Alien, instead of being destroyed, just call it kill. I don't know. I played some FPS, some Halo last night, so, that day. Anyway, again, kill, I'm nullifying, just turning it into a null object. Your name is the null. So every time something calls out, is it null? Is it not null? Yeah, it's null, so ignore it, just don't even ignore it, just keep on going ahead. You don't have a scale, your animator goes to the null one, again, and your collision box basically disappears, it's no longer, it just disappears. And that's how I'm doing it. I'm already working on the resurrect function, which will return the alien itself to its properties. The alien itself already knows its scale, its size. It already knows that it's an alien base type, and its animator knows exactly what animator sprite to get. So I don't think it'll be that hard. But enough talking. Let me show you the full game with collision boxes so you can check it out. There we go. Alright, as you can see, we have the red grid in the bottom and we have the columns. Let's start shooting. Oh, that's just great. There we go, finally. Alright, as you can see, the column is updating correctly. Whenever you kill an alien, there we go. And kill another one, kill this. Okay, I killed that one. Not what I expected. Let's destroy this column. There we go. And the grid keeps going. It keeps moving, it adapted itself. It no longer has that. It adapts itself. Let's destroy this one. Alright, there we go. And the grid readapts itself. Well, that's it for today. Oh, one more thing. The whole proving that the missile can only be fired once. There we go. Again. There we go. Just like in the game. Alright, that's all for this PA. If you have any questions, again, post them. You can send me a note in Piazza or just leave a comment below. Thanks a lot, Professor.